Hello guys, welcome to another video. Rimuru x Eminence in Shadow by elite3532. Chapter 13. Third paw of another day has passed and this was finally the semifinal of the tournament. Every eye was turned toward the arena as Claire Kaganu won her fight with ease. Cheers resoned through the large crowd. Rimuru along with the other guests were also clapping their hands. Though they didn't feel much as the fight was dull, Claire showed clear superiority over her opponent, but this opponent was just something everyone could achieve with some training. Beatrix, your sister has a lot of talent. Rimuru, I know, I can expect great things from her. Iris, she already followed your steps, I have to be careful as to not anger her, I can see your reflection in her. Iris deadpanned a little. Rimuru was already hard to handle as she just couldn't understand his mindset, but if a second him appeared, she might go crazy with all these uncalled variables. Rimuru. Alexia isn't here. Iris. No, she decided to leave and train. Rimuru. I see, it seems she isn't interested in this competition. Rimuru's eyes subconsciously turned to Sid, who was perfectly playing his role as an NPC. The next round was between Jimina, a mysterious man who appeared out of nowhere and had apparently from the rumors won his fight through luck. His opponent is Anaros Nixahan, a powerful swordswoman from the Velgalta Empire and former member of the Seven Blades, strongest order of the Empire. Rimuru kept his eyes on the arena as the two fighters were called. Coincidentally, Sid took a bathroom break and left. Rimuru. Actually, don't tell me. His thoughts were cut off as a wave of cheer exploded with both Anaros and Jimina coming in. They made their way to the center and exchanged a formal salute before the fight. Rimuru kept a blank face, but internally he felt like screaming. Rimuru. This idiot, he really went undercover as a weakling in this prestigious tournament. He managed to perfectly hide it, also he managed to deduce something out of this. If Sid is here hiding means Shadow Garden has something to do with the tournament. Epsilon, who was playing piano, Sid here and Rose's betrayal. There was no doubt in Rimuru's mind anymore, the cult was somehow involved. Rimuru. MMH. I still miss a few pieces. Diome. This Jimina seems really weak. It is to wonder how he managed to get here. Iris. Indeed, but appearance can hide a lot. While Rimuru was using his brain, the other people present engaged in a basic conversation. Beatrix stayed out of this, just watching with her sheathed sword in hand. As for Rimuru, he just remembered that Diome was there with them. He could be at His Majesty the King's side but chose to be here. Rimuru. He is clearly trying to get our favors. So he is a spy for the cult? Now that I think the king has been acting really weird, as if he had no will. Looking down, Rimuru stared at the king's lounge. He was near the arena yet in a perfectly guarded place with a few guards. Rimuru had met him years ago, but this man wasn't the same anymore. He looked more like a puppet. Rimuru. I have to keep an eye on those two. He finished his thought just before the match started. This same match was rather interesting as Jimina revealed himself to be a powerful fighter showcasing a speed beyond what anyone present has seen, excluding the likes of Beatrix or Rimuru. The first seconds showed Anaros winning, but once Jimina took it more seriously, he ended the fight outspeeding Anaros. Beatrix. He is strong. Rimuru. Yes, I wonder who he really is. Anaros was impressive too, she might be a good addition to my allies. Ultimately, Anaros fell on her knee as Jimina made a clean slash of his sword, a beautiful swordsmanship that made the girl's eyes shine in admiration. Referee. Victor Jimina Seinen. The crowd exploded in both cheer and anger. Most had bet on Anaros' victory and this outcome seemed to have ruined them. Iris. This guy isn't normal. Diome. Indeed, will you be fine? Iris. Naturally, if I can't defeat him then how am I supposed to protect my kingdom? Iris was the final opponent of Jimina. She already had her place in the final and was waiting to see who was going to challenge her, and it seems it's an odd individual this time. Staring at the man's back leaving the arena, Iris had only one thought. She already lost once against Rimuru, but this time she has to win. It's not simply a question of honor anymore, it's also her duty to show everyone under her that they are safe. She shortly after left to prepare herself for a more difficult fight than she actually planned. Rimuru also got up, earning the attention of the others. Rimuru. I'm going to take a walk. Diome. Aren't you interested in Princess Iris's fight? Rimuru. I actually stayed and supported your presence just so Iris won't annoy me to watch her. This instantly shutted Diome as anger invaded him. Fortunately, he was conscious of the danger Rimuru presented and kept a straight face. Rimuru then turned to Beatrix, who just gave him a thumbs up. Beatrix. I'll watch for you. Rimuru. Thanks. He smiled and left. He wasn't going to confront Sid, but rather than that, he was going to meet with one of his allies, well, more like a subordinate now. He had her coming here in case something would happen, and God, how well he did. Leaving the Colosseum where the arena was located, Rimuru went into a dark alley where no prying eyes could see him. After a few seconds, a feminine figure clothed with adventure-like clothes appeared. Rimuru. So, did you enjoy the festival? Olivier. Yes, I thank you for that. I had never experienced anything like this before. Hero Olivier, one of the members who managed to eliminate the demon Diabolas in the tale and legend. Right now, after Rimuru called her spirit, Oliver and him had talked for a while, resuming the situation. Now, Rimuru has the elven hero under him. She currently works as a maid in the mansion, but her main order is to follow Rimuru wherever he goes in case something happens. Rimuru also wanted the girl to experience something else than war and fighting. He had a rather special bond with her after all. Olivier was originally a strong woman who had a great sense of justice, but after getting involved with the fight against the demon Diabolas, she was sealed by the cult and afterward lost her emotion and ego. Rimuru. I'm glad to hear it, so what did you do? Olivier. I tried this bet thing, it's fun. Smiling, she brought out a very large wallet-like pocket which contained hundreds of gold coins. Rimuru. Olivier. They said you just needed to bet on who was the victor, so I did. Did I do good? Tilting her head cutely, Rimuru chuckled and patted her head. She was way smaller, barely reaching his chest area, so the perfect height for head pat. Though, it wasn't really fair, as Olivier is literally a hero who had fought all her life. She could easily see through the participant's strength and deduce the winner. And it seems even Sid wasn't able to hide from her eyes. Rimuru. You did good, you can use this money for yourself. The girl was emotionless with no ego in the holy sanctuary, but after resummoning, Rimuru gave her a sort of homunculus prototype body he had developed with Ada. After that, Rimuru showed her kindness, and with their common background, Oliver quickly opened to Rimuru and regained some of her personality before being sealed in the sanctuary. Olivier. MMH. Then can Master spend some time with me? Rimuru. Huh? Olivier. I mean, I don't really know how to use money. Looking away, she was used as a weapon in the past. She never had the opportunity to buy things for herself, so this whole situation was new for her. She also internally wanted to spend more time with her benefactor. Olivier. Also, I owe you a lot. If you weren't here to train us, we wouldn't have made it against the demon. Rimuru. What do you mean, Olivier? MMH? Does Master not remember? You trained me and the other heroes back then? Suddenly Rimuru felt a shockwave running through his soul. It was a weird feeling, as if something reacted to Olivier's words. His eyes widened and slowly he felt the padlock inside him crack. He then felt different waves of nausea as information filled his mind. He held his face, gritting his teeth. The sudden action made Olivier panic. She didn't know what to do, so stayed on standby, agitating her hand weirdly. Coming back to Rimuru, he is currently going through a sort of memory transfer. It isn't as bad as when he collapsed in the Holy City. Still, it took a toll on his mind for dozens of minutes. Until it was finally done, Rimuru sighed and got up, shaking his head slightly. Olivier. Are you okay? Rimuru. Yes, sorry, I remember you, Lily and Freya. Olivier. Really? I thought you had forgotten us, Master, or should I call you teacher? What Rimuru had seen in those new memories was himself teaching 3 girls. Those girls were successful experiments of the church in the era back then. They were destined weapons to purge evil, though from his memories Diabolas didn't exist yet. Those 3 girls were originally destined to be simple puppets for justice, but it seems Rimuru's intervention managed to help them keep a part of their identity. Their names were Olivier, the elven hero, Lily, the beastkin hero, and Freya, the human hero. All of them were students of Rimuru and cherished him, and those memories end here. Rimuru. Call me the way you feel comfortable. Anyway, tell me, do you know what happened to me back then? Olivier. Unfortunately, no. I have not many memories of the past. The only thing I still possess are the memories which were considered very dear to me. I also seem to have unconsciously selected and removed the traumatic memories. Rimuru. I see. So I can use her to learn more, huh? His plan to use Olivier to uncover the entire truth was already foiled. Well, this isn't much of a problem as he never actually planned to use Olivier this way. Olivier kept staring at Rimuru, waiting for his next words like a puppy. Rimuru. Do you want to eat something, Olivier? So master going to accompany me? Rimuru. You're my student, I can't let you starve, and besides, it's a good way to pass some time together. Olivier. Then please take care of me, it's my first time so I will follow your guidance once again. Bowing her head, Rimuru felt a little weirded out at the way she sentenced it, though she is way too innocent to understand the meaning of her words. But this led Rimuru to ask himself another thing. If Beatrix and Alpha are descendants of Olivier, does that mean Olivier had children with someone? If yes, who? Well, that's a question for later. Olivier and Rimuru shortly after left to spend some time together. At the same time, in the arena Iris and Jimina were fighting. The scene was rather horrific as Iris couldn't even move. She was baited with a simple feint. Feint so realist that she felt being cut and decapitated multiple times. So realist that those feints turned into illusion. All this under the eyes of 100 people watching her. Iris felt angry and ashamed. This man was strong, way too strong if even her, a prodigy, couldn't read this man's feint. Then he might be at the top of the world. With only a few at his level, she couldn't accept that. Rage blinded her as all the consequences of her defeat would bring. The trust placed on her would be tainted forever. A burst of magic, Iris went on a full charge without minding her opening. She removed the fear of death and charged toward Jimina. Only for him to simply counter her and slam her down. This was the anticlimactic end of this final. Sword at her neck, Jimina glared down coldly. He was disappointed at how weak she was actually. But the showdown of this tournament was interrupted as Rose Oriana made an appearance. She came out of nowhere and went to her father, the king, and after a sort of discussion, killed him. Under the eyes of everyone, she committed the biggest sins. Diome, who was present and saw the scene right in front of his eyes, bursted in anger. He had planned to become the king after marrying Rose and manipulating the king, but all this is wasted now. He called the guards to capture Rose, while the girl tried to take her own life after realizing her last duty as princess. Her last thought went to Sid as a small tear formed. She apologized for not being able to tell him goodbye. But to everyone's expectation, Jimina intervened and revealed himself as Shadow, or stylish bandit slayer for Rose. Jimina being Shadow wasn't the only surprise as Rose actually met him when he was hunting bandits in his childhood. Shadow had saved her from a kidnapping, and what more is that she actually started to wield her sword because of him. After this emotional reunion, Shadow encouraged her to run and continue her fight. Rose nodded and made her way out while being protected by the Eminence in Shadow. From this point onward, things escalated quickly as Beatrix intervened and engaged in a fight with Shadow, taking it out directly in the city. After some time, Iris joined too, yet the fight still bent toward Shadow's side. Rimuru I smiled a little watching Olivier enjoying ice cream. She was cutely holding the cone with her 2 hands and ate it slowly with short lick. Rimuru. We'll get some grilled meat after. Olivier. MMH. Nodding, time like these were definitely my favorite. No headache, no pain, no duty, just fun and calm. Well, it seemed I had talked too fast as the rain suddenly started to fall, and with that, a flash happened right behind Olivier followed by a strong gust of wind. No one could see what just happened because it was too fast, but I did. Beatrix and Sid. Both sword in hand fighting at an inhuman speed. What the hell? Why? My eyes widened slowly as this shouldn't happen. Something must have happened during the final, but how did it lead to this? I recomposed myself and got up staring at the sky. The shockwave and clash produced by their sword filled the sky of Oriana Kingdom. Rimuru. Olivier, can you go on Claire's side and protect her? Olivier. Hi. She didn't question my sudden order. She probably also saw what was currently happening but decided to just follow my words. Disappearing in a flash of light, Olivier was really a good ally to have. I then turned to the currently happening fight and started to run to the source. Rimuru. Seriously? Why are they fighting? Beatrix is my partner and Sid, my brother. This is literally the last thing I want to see. But when I arrived at the top of the building where the fight ended, it was already too late as Sid stood in front of Beatrix and Iris. The two were covered in wounds and small cuts. For the first time I felt a new kind of emotion. Rimuru. Sid didn't hold back at all. If this continues, both of them might die. Doubt started to raise in my mind. I always considered Sid as my brother and accepted whatever he was, but what about him? Does he consider us his family, or are we just a thing and an obstacle for him? I felt anger and betrayal. Those feelings were horrible together. And this anger increased tenfold when Shadow started to condensate magic. It's the same attack he had used during Alexia's kidnapping. He didn't seem to be kidding as more and more magic gathered around him. I shifted my attention to Beatrix, then Iris. My anger kept growing. Shadow. Shadow. Ha 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 ha. Behold my true power. I looked up as Shadow was now levitating in the air. His spell would most likely blow up the entire capital now. He was really doing it. Shadow. I am. The world slowed down. I felt dreadful. My eyes glowing red in rage. I didn't wait any more second and stretched my hand up. Shadow. Atom Rimuru. Shadow. Third Pav suddenly letting out a terrifying roar. The three fighters turned to Rimuru. Their blood froze as they saw for the first time his enraged state. The emotions inside him were unstable, from the memories he just uncovered and Sid's action. Rimuru. You went too far this time. A white light forming in his hand. Iris shook in total fear as she felt the pressure of this magic. Beatrix too, thought she trusted Rimuru totally and just watched carefully. The things she was really concerned about was Rimuru's state. He clearly wasn't good. As for Sid, he stared down at his brother waiting for him to attack. It's an important rule, always let the opponent charge and launch his attack. But this time, his instinct told him to run. Whatever Rimuru was doing was dangerous. Rimuru. Nova Breaker. The light in his hand shining brighter. The power Rimuru held in his past life was once again used after a millennia.